Yo Gamer Gators.
The first thing you lose is all perspective.
What's good, guys? WQ here, and I have been on fire lately. So I have been speedrunning relentlessly for about 3 weeks now, only 3 weeks, and I've learned so many ideas. I've done so many big plays. I'm really changing like a lot, just changing the world, changing people's perceptions about what you can do in a speedrun, really changing everything. Every day I PB, literally every day I PB. It's like crazy. Since the 1st of September I had a PB, I think I PB'd 6 times in a week, like it's just crazy. A lot of it comes from this question that I posed last time. So if you have an answer, you don't try, right? Because the answer is supposed to try for you, so you stop trying. So if trying is a quality of gameplay, which I believe trying is a quality of gameplay, and I had a few arguments to argue that trying was a quality of gameplay, was a necessary quality, but I argue it is, right? I believe it is, and so therefore, well, there's no answers. There's no more answers. You have to throw them all out the window, right? So, well, that doesn't make any sense. And then what about answers that say that there are no answers, right? Then suddenly, is that an answer? Like, I have no fucking clue. It's very complicated. It's a very complicated business, but I don't know. I have no fucking clue. But what I did figure out is that a lot about trying. I think the answer, if there is an answer, it lies in trying, making an effort, try harding. I don't know what trying is. People, they always say just try, right? But what is trying? Nobody's defining it. Nobody's defining like ranges. Nobody knows anything about trying. They just say to try. So it's like, what exactly does that mean? And one thing that I've come to learn personally is that let's think about this. All right, let's map this out. Okay, so you can't not try, right? You can't not try, because if you try to not try, you're still trying, right? So you actually can't not try. You have to try. Okay, that's weird. And then another thing I learned is that this is big. This is bigger than big. Trying is unconditional. It's actually completely unconditional, which is rare. I argue, natural gameplay argues that you need unconditional variables to drive your gameplay. So how do you, if you get stuck in a, and actually, you know what? I got so much to say, guys. It's crazy. It's crazy. My mind's been on fire lately. So if you get stuck in a paradox, a logical problem where nothing matters, therefore you can do anything, you can do nothing, right? You always see this problem in the game of life. Well, what do you do with that problem, right? So how do you solve that problem, or how do you go past that problem? So natural gameplay, because natural gameplay is a solution to that. It would say to find something that's unconditional, right? Bind it by an unconditional variable, because the unconditional variable doesn't care about if nothing matters, then if nothing matters, right? Nothing matters, so you can do anything, but at the same time you should do nothing, right? Well, what do you do? So if you're doing something that's unconditional, it doesn't matter if it's nothing or anything. See, you would do it anyway. You would do it anyway, so it doesn't matter. So find things that are unconditional. Well, what's something that's unconditional? Like, conditional beliefs are gonna fuck you over. And actually, this is interesting, because beliefs are unconditional. Beliefs can't be conditional. So if you believe something, it has to be unconditional. You can't believe in something that's not a belief, right? If it's conditional, it's not a belief because you don't believe in it. So your beliefs are always unconditional. So that's a big one. So how do you use this? Is natural gameplay. How do you improve your gameplay using that? Well, change your beliefs to change your beliefs, and then what's going to happen is the gameplay is going to change. Gameplay is going to change. So just find a way to change your beliefs so that the gameplay positively changes instead of negatively changes. Because what's happening is people are always changing their beliefs, and then they negatively impact your gameplay, or it doesn't impact it. You just want it positively impact it. So it's not actually that complicated. But that's really interesting, because this whole idea of unconditional versus conditional beliefs, huge. It's huge. And it's actually bigger than huge, because I talk a lot about it in my old vlog earlier this year. I was talking a lot about results-based inputs versus inputs not based on results, inputs based on itself, inputs based on moment. Inputs based on input-based inputs versus output-based inputs. So an output-based input, which is a result-based input, this is a conditional input, right? You would do what you do, you change what you do, determine on results, right? It's conditional. This is what tryharding is, right? So tryharding is unconditional, right? This is what tryharding would solve, because what happens is, if you're tryharding, you'd always try, right? that's why it's unconditional, and it's interesting because it's unconditional in an unconventional sense. Most things are unconditional and not like that, but trying is one of very few things that is actually unconditional, because if you're trying, you would always try, right? If it gets bad, it doesn't matter, you would try, right? So if you stop trying, you're not trying anymore, so there's why it's unconditional. It's always unconditional. Try-harding is absolutely unconditional. This is very important, it's very, very powerful. And so the thing about gameplay is you can't have an answer, right? Because once you have your answer, you stop trying. Yet trying is itself is unconditional, so that itself can be an answer, actually can be an answer, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter whether you have an answer or you don't have an answer. It doesn't matter whether it makes sense. None of that matters, right? So you can always try, right? That's what trying is. That actually is in itself what trying is. I walked by that couple and they were like yelling at each other, and they had like this dead car looking out of their front yard, and they like stopped talking immediately as I walked by, and I hope they listen to what I was saying, because if they listen to what I'm saying, they actually listened, both of them, then their minds are going to change. Their minds are completely going to change, and what they're going to do is actually improve their lives. They're going to be happier, they're going to try harder, right? And it's going to change the world, and that's really what I'm trying to do here. And maybe they weren't listening. I'm pretty sure they're listening to me, because I'm speaking some powerful words right now, and what I say was actually mind-blowing when I walked by them. This whole thing about trying, if it is a real unconditional process, what this means is, one, people are for the most part not trying. So if you're trying for conditions, like I'm trying because I want to win, right? Okay, I'm trying, that's conditional. It sounds like a good thing, but it's actually conditional, which is bad no matter what. And then they're also saying, people say, okay, I only try good runs, right? Well, it's also conditional. I only try if I'm winning, conditional. I always try no matter what. That's unconditional, right? But nobody's actually doing that. Some people are, but some people do. That's how you win. That's how you actually become a winner. You have to unconditionally try by effect. You have to unconditionally try, which is unconditional anyway, by effect. And this is, it's not actually that tricky. It's not actually that difficult. But this is the problem, right? Because this actually, this fixes a lot of things. One, it gets rid of this macro problem, macro natural gameplay. Gets to this macro problem where people are trying to create correct gameplay. I'm trying to correct the correct way to play. I want to play the correct way, right? So I want to play the most optimal way. I want to create the best gameplay, right? So that in itself always, no matter what, is wrong. It's always wrong. Even if it's right, it's still wrong, because it's kind of like a problem with time versus a problem with just a point or just a unit. So the thing about time is, like, if you ever look at like math and math equations, it's about like, it's not just the answer, right? It's also the movement speed of how you get to the answer. So if you just, it's a velocity versus the linear, like if you look at a derivative in a graph or whatever, so it's not just the velocity, but it's also the acceleration. It's the derivative of whatever your line is. So if you just look at the point, if you look at the point on both graphs, it's identical. But if you take the derivative of the points, you suddenly get a different value. Well, what I'm saying is, basically you're taking the derivative of your value, so you get your optimal gameplay, right? So I'm saying it can't ever be optimal, because what's happening is you're not trying anymore, because it's always an answer. So that's what I mean. It's interesting. So I'm actually implementing time into this equation of what's optimal. No. You guys aren't thinking broad enough. What's optimal is to try. Dude, I think my camera is like going. Guys, comment in the description if my camera keeps going fuzzy. I think it's doing that. I don't know. It's been happening in a lot of my videos. I don't know why. So maybe it's something I'll have to fix. I have no idea. But comment in the description, and then. But what I was saying was really important. What I was saying was about. So yeah, all I'm doing is I'm factoring in time to this equation of finding optimal gameplay. It's like, so even if you found you looked at the whole 90-minute run and you said, okay, this one particular play style, we used thousands of data, we used all this money, we used all this research, and we found the optimal play style. I would argue it's impossibly optimal. It's impossible to be optimal because you stop trying. That try factor is not there. So it's like the next dimension of gameplay. It's crazy. It's really crazy.